Hey, horror lovers. I see about 80% of you are watching without subscribing. If you're enjoying these stories, tap that like button, hit subscribe, and drop a comment telling me which story got under your skin and where you're watching from. Your interaction helps spread the horror to every dark corner of the internet and helps this channel grow. Now, let the horror begin. I've seen my share of bad dates, enough to make me delete every app and swear off romance for good. But what happened to my best friend, Liz, wasn't just a bad date. It was something darker, something evil hiding in plain sight. She matched with him on a Wednesday night. His profile was simple: clean-shaven guy in his 30s, short brown hair, easy smile, and just one sentence in his bio: "I know how to listen." That should have been the first red flag. Liz was excited, though. She said he seemed mature, polite. She showed me his profile, and something about it felt off. Not his looks. It was the name. Daniel. It rang a bell, but I couldn't place it. They went out that Friday. Small Italian place downtown. She texted me when she got there. I never heard from her again. By Monday, her phone was going straight to voicemail. Her apartment door was locked, lights off. Something was wrong. I filed a report, but they treated it like another ghosting case. But Liz wouldn't vanish. She was grounded, careful, and always let me know if a date got weird. I started digging myself. I knew her password, so I logged into her Tinder account. Daniel's profile was gone, deleted, like it never existed. I tried reverse image searching his photos. Nothing. I called the restaurant. No reservation under her name or his. No credit card charges. It was like the whole night never happened. 2 weeks later, another woman went missing. Same age, same city, also after meeting someone on Tinder. Her roommate told police the guy's name was Daniel. That's when I started noticing the pattern. I cross-referenced every local missing persons case involving online dating. The men all used different photos, but the name was always the same. Daniel. Daniel with short hair. Daniel with a beard. Daniel wearing glasses. Sometimes his skin tone changed. Sometimes he had tattoos, sometimes not. But the name never changed. It was always Daniel. I took what I had to the police. They listened this time, especially when I showed them something that made their blood run cold. Each Daniel had matched with a woman who had gone missing, and each of those women had something in common. They all shared the same name: Elizabeth, Beth, Lizzie, Liz, Eliza. Different nicknames, same route. The police started piecing together a wider timeline. Over 6 years, 11 women had vanished across multiple states. None of them had been found. No bodies, no ransom notes, just wiped from the map. Every woman named Elizabeth. They looked into the app data, tried to track IP addresses, locations, anything. But this guy was careful. He used spoofed numbers, VPNs, burner phones. Every trace ended in a dead end. Until they got a break. A woman named Ellie had matched with someone named Daniel 3 days before. She was scheduled to meet him for coffee that night. The police moved fast. An undercover officer took her place, but he never showed. Instead, 2 blocks away, a woman was dragged into an alley behind a florist's shop. She survived. She kept repeating one thing: "He called me Elizabeth, even though I told him my name was Bethany." That was enough for the FBI to step in. A profile started forming. This wasn't random. He was hunting a name: Elizabeth. It wasn't just about attraction or opportunity. It was ritualistic, obsessive. Maybe the name belonged to someone he lost, someone who hurt him or abandoned him. No one knew. But he was trying to recreate her, over and over, and each version of her disappointed him. Despite months of investigation, the FBI came up empty. They traced burner phones, recovered fragments of deleted accounts, even pulled metadata from encrypted chats. But every lead vanished into smoke. They never found a real name, never got close to an address. He wasn't just a predator, he was a phantom. 3 months after Liz vanished, I received a letter. It wasn't mailed, it was hand-delivered, slipped through the slit in my apartment door while I was out. No return address, just my name on the front. Inside was a single photo. Liz, sitting in a chair, eyes closed, pale and unmoving, like a doll. Her hair was combed, her lips painted a soft red, but the thing that froze my blood wasn't her stillness. It was the dress. I'd seen it before. It was my prom dress, the one I'd donated to Goodwill 3 years ago. On the back of the photo was a single line. "There's only one Elizabeth left, and my legal name is Elizabeth." I've seen death in ways most people can't imagine. I've worked homicide for 21 years in Baltimore, and in that time I've bagged more bodies than I care to count. Burned, bludgeoned, overdosed, butchered. I thought I'd been hardened to all of it, but nothing prepared me for the face thief. We didn't call him that at first. Back then it was just the Skinner case. 3 bodies in 3 weeks. All victims found with their faces surgically removed. No blood splatter, no sign of a struggle. It looked like their faces had been peeled off in a clinic, not a basement. Clean, precise, too precise. But the fourth changed everything. It was a Thursday when the call came in. Patrol responded to a noise complaint in an abandoned row house near Pulaski Highway. They found a woman on the 2nd floor, lying on a torn mattress, wrapped in someone else's skin. She was alive. She was shaking, nearly catatonic, her breath wheezing through another woman's lips, lips that didn't match her jawline. The skin on her face had been stitched crudely around the edges like a mask. Whoever she wasn't talking. But what she was familiar. We identified the face she wore as belonging to our 3rd victim, Jenna Morales, a waitress who vanished after a night shift. We'd found her body in a parking garage, faceless, stripped, and dumped like garbage. Now, her face was here, on another woman's skull. Forensics was baffled. The mask had been preserved in saline, refrigerated, then sewn back on in a way that suggested knowledge of dermal surgery. But this woman's fingerprints, nothing. No ID, no missing persons match. Over the next 2 weeks, we found more masks, one in a storm drain, one hanging from a tree in Patterson Park, another stuffed inside a child's backpack left on a bus. But no bodies to go with them. Each face had been preserved the same way, drained, cleaned, and stored with surgical precision. One of them even had eye holes stitched closed, like someone had been trying it on in the dark. The press went insane. They gave her a name, the Face Thief. But while they were chasing shadows, I kept going back to the woman we found alive. She was still in the psych ward under 24-hour watch. Not talking, not eating, not blinking. We called her Jane Doe. Something about her didn't sit right. I visited her alone on a Monday. I remember because the Ravens had lost to Cincinnati the night before, and the nurses were still grumbling about it. I brought Jane a mirror. I don't know why. Maybe I thought seeing her reflection would break whatever spell she was under. She stared at it for a long time. Then, she smiled. That was the first time I felt it in my gut, that something is not right. The next morning, the guard assigned to her was found unconscious. He'd suffered a seizure right outside her door. No history of epilepsy, no drugs in his system. His pupils were blown wide like he'd seen something horrific. And Jane, she was sitting upright, hands folded in her lap. humming softly. We sent the face she wore back for reanalysis. The lab called 2 days later with results that made my blood run cold. The tissue wasn't Jenna Morales. It was a composite, layers from multiple donors. The ears didn't match the jaw. The cheek skin had stretch marks inconsistent with Jenna's age. The lips were from a third person entirely. It was a patchwork mask, a Frankenstein face. That's when I remembered the detail we'd all missed in the initial search. The scars on her wrists. Not fresh wounds. Healed. Deep. Surgical. She hadn't been a victim. She'd been the first. I pulled her dental and ran it against cold cases. That's when I found it. A missing persons report from 2013. Name: Rebecca Lynn Stokes, medical student. Last seen at Johns Hopkins. Found wandering in a fugue state a week later. Her parents institutionalized her after she tried to peel off her own face with a scalpel in their bathroom. After that, she'd vanished. No release records, no official death certificate. It was like someone had erased her. The break came when an anonymous tip led us to a storage unit in Dundalk. Inside, we found freezers, 3 of them, and a binder. The freezers were full of vacuum-sealed faces, all tagged with names. Some matched our victims, others were still alive. The binder was worse. It was a journal, page after page of anatomical sketches, skin layer breakdowns, and disturbing philosophy written in cramped, obsessive script. Identity is not bone. It is worn, shaped, applied. A face is a promise, a lie we all agree to believe. To be is to become, and I can become anyone. There were photos too, dozens, selfies taken in mirrors, all the same woman, but each with a different face. Some were smiling, some were crying. One was laughing, wide-mouthed, eyes rolled back like she was in ecstasy. Rebecca hadn't disappeared. She'd gone underground, perfecting her craft, using skills from med school, hiding in the system, harvesting the parts she needed to become more. She wasn't killing to escape, she was killing to evolve. We issued a warrant, but by the time we returned to the psych ward, Rebecca was gone. The guard was dead. Security footage showed a nurse entering her room at 4:03 a.m., then leaving at 4:12. But that nurse didn't exist. No one by that name on staff. No prints. No record. The last confirmed sighting was in Boston. A woman flagged a patrol officer after recognizing her missing cousin, someone who'd been dead 5 years. The cousin hugged her, whispered something in her ear, then vanished in the crowd. I worked nights in a basement lab of St. Jerome's Medical Center, right off Interstate 93 in New Hampshire. The kind of place that felt like it hadn't seen sunlight since the Cold War. My title was Blood Services Technician, which sounds important, but mostly I handled donated blood, typing, storing, barcoding bags before they went upstairs for use in surgeries or trauma units. I wasn't a doctor. I wasn't even supposed to ask questions. But I noticed the pattern by accident. It started in early February when a trauma nurse named Carrie called down asking for a quick tag on a type B negative unit that had been misplaced. That's rare blood, less than 2% of the population, so I checked our cold storage logs. I remember thinking we hadn't even received a B negative donation in over a week. Yet somehow the OR used one the night before. I chalked it up to a mislabeled bag or clerical error until it happened again and again. Over the next 3 weeks, 7 patients received transfusions with no traceable blood source. Not just rare types either. O negative, AB positive, even Bombay phenotype, which I had never seen in person. And here's the thing. All of them died. Every single one of those patients either flatlined during recovery or lapsed into sudden, unexplainable comas. I pulled records, asked quiet questions, the kind that don't trigger alarms unless someone's really paying attention. The blood used in those transfusions? Not logged, not scanned, not even handwritten in backup records. It was like someone had snuck in their own private supply. I started calling them the ghost bags. One night, around 3:12 a.m., I stayed late to check the storage myself. That's when I saw him. Dr. Alan Merrick, head of hematology, calm, educated, well-spoken. One of those doctors you assume is above reproach. He was standing in front of Storage Unit C holding a cooler, one of the old military-grade ones, not hospital standard. He didn't see me. I watched him slide open the cold unit, remove one of our sealed bags, and swap it with something from his cooler. I backed away, made it to the break room, and pretended I'd just arrived. He passed me 5 minutes later without saying a word. His lab coat was perfectly clean, but the cooler was gone. That night, I downloaded every transfusion record from the last 6 months. I went through them one by one, matching barcode scans to donor logs. I found 12 unmatched uses, 12 dead patients, and a 13th that was scheduled for the next morning. The name jumped out at me: Tommy Griggs, age 9, admitted for minor heart surgery, rare blood disorder, O negative with Arch-null compatibility. In other words, a perfect storm of complexity. But according to our files, no matching blood had been ordered for his surgery, which meant Merrick had already planned to supply it himself. I didn't know who to tell. I couldn't prove anything. If I brought this to admin, they'd assume I was paranoid or screwing up records. I was a tech, not even credentialed to question a doctor. So I did the only thing I could think of. I waited. I hid behind the curtain divider in the blood prep room and watched the hallway leading to Storage C. My hands were sweating so much I could barely grip my phone. I kept telling myself if I saw him do it again, I'd record it. I'd have evidence. At 2:47 a.m., he arrived. White coat, calm walk, same cooler. Only this time, he opened the fridge and paused. Then he looked around, slow, careful, like he could feel something watching him. For a second, I thought he saw me. Then he turned back to the unit, opened the cooler, and removed another bag. But this one wasn't sealed like ours. It looked homemade. The label was handwritten. He held it up to the light as if admiring it. Then he whispered something under his breath. I couldn't make out. I hit record and started filming. He scanned our bag like normal, swapped his in, and closed the door. I had what I needed, or so I thought. The next day, Tommy Griggs died on the operating table. Massive, sudden hemolytic reaction. His blood had basically turned against itself. The family was devastated. The surgeons were baffled, and the official records showed no wrongdoing, no foreign contamination, no trace of the bag Dr. Merrick had used. My footage, corrupted. I tried to play the video I'd taken, but all I got was a black screen and static, like the file had rotted. I checked the timestamp. It was there. The length matched, but the footage was gone. I backed it up to my drive anyway, just in case. 3 days later, I got called into the director's office. They let me go. Reason: failure to maintain protocol. No warning, no write-up, just a severance envelope and a security escort. I went home and sat in my car for hours. I didn't sleep that night. The next morning, I received a padded envelope in the mail. No return address. Inside were 2 things, a thumb drive and a blood bag. The label on the bag read, type, unknown, for collection only, do not transfuse. The handwriting was mine, but I never wrote it. I plugged in the thumb drive. It contained exactly 1 file, a sound recording. It was about 20 seconds long. In it, I heard my own voice, breathing, whispering. And behind me, someone else. A second voice, low, calm. Dr. Merrick. He said, "We don't take blood, you see. We keep them." Then something wet hit the floor, and the tape ended. I moved across the country that same week, changed my name, got a job at a call center in Oregon. Haven't touched a blood bag since.